So people. Alright, it's time to explain about money, what might be coming with a dollar, what might be happening in the world. There's a lot of stuff happening right now. A lot of people for a long time have been talking about a dollar collapse. And that dollar collapse is relevant because, a lot of people are holding on to dollars right now. There's people who have retirement funds, 401ks, whatever. They've been working every day for a very long time, saving up money for retirement. They have retirement funds. People have other type of retirement funds, but a lot of people are just holding on to money, onto savings and stuff. And if the dollar's value falls through the floor, you know what I'm saying? Those people are gonna have a bad time. It's like literally like you traded like, you know, half of your life working for these dollars that all of a sudden are gonna be worthless. It's like, yeah, that's a major, major bad thing. Um anyway, I want to explain, I guess you could say, the I don't know, strategies to protect your net worth, what to maybe, I'm just going to help you see what might be a good idea. And none of this is financial advice for legal reasons. Don't tell anybody I told you about anything, because I'm not telling you about anything. I'm just saying I'm trying to help give you my perspective, maybe help you see certain things so you can hopefully make good decisions yourself. Um, so yeah, let's get started. That's what this whole thing's about. We know money. It's crazy how I started this little gimmick, but here we are, and I've been making lots of videos, and let's make some more. So money has a value based on supply and demand, just like anything else in the economy. Um, and really, more truly, it's like the available supply and the demand for it. And even more truly than that, it's really like the trade volume, like how many people are actually trading dollars for stuff and back and forth. And money has a value because of what people are willing to trade for. It doesn't have an intrinsic value. No money has intrinsic value. The only things that actually have value to man, to people, are things that they use. Okay. I guess you could say like consume or use to produce something else. But at the end of the day, at the end of every trade, eventually, the things people produce should, turn out to be something people use to better their own lives. You know what I mean? Like I live in an apartment, we have electricity. These are like end consumer goods. Those are the things that really have value. Everything else is like a means to that end in the economy. Um, so money has no intrinsic value. It's just a means to that end. It's another type of good, and it's used as a medium of exchange. I like to call it like an intermediary good, because what you're really doing is making like a two-step trade. You could trade directly for another good or service or whatever, what you have or somebody else has. But people trade for money because that money has a group of people that, think it's good to trade with, you know what I mean? So if you trade what you have for money, there's a whole lot of people that will accept that money. So naturally people just use it. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing so long as the value of it is not tampered with. And that's where supply and demand comes in. So in pretty much every country, there's an individual currency in that country. It's just how the world has been working. There are other things that can, I mean, anything can be traded in the world. I can trade you, I mean, you could trade gold for, you can use it as money basically. You can trade what you have for gold and trade that gold for something else. You can use cryptocurrencies. You just trade goods for goods. You can trade one good for another good and trade that good for another good. I mean, everything in the economy is really just trading. And like I said, money is just another commodity. It's another good. It's a means to an end. It's not something anybody's going to consume. You're not going to eat your dollars. You're not going to, I mean, you might be able to like burn them to keep warm at some point. I don't know. But no, it's an intermediary good. Anyway, it has a value based on supply and demand. Just like almost, I mean, it is just like everything in the economy, but you can track the value of money just like you can track the value of stocks. And they literally have charts doing this. They have the Forex markets and stuff. And I'm actually not like the biggest trader investor. I've like barely gotten into that to be honest, but I just understand it. The reason I actually came to understand a lot of this is because I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing before I hopped into a market. But I was actually gonna trade cryptocurrency, and that's when I was like, I came to understand it was a supply and demand function that was affecting the value. And then I'm like, wow, that's kind of like a stock. And then I'm like, well, but if they call it a currency, then I'm like, if it means so, is that same thing happening with currencies? I'm like, yeah, it is. It's supply and demand. And so yeah, in every country, there's pretty much one currency, and with that, there's like a group of people that use it. So if you like come from America, you're gonna probably trade your dollars for whatever currency they have over there just to do business in that country because each country usually has that one currency that they use. But it doesn't have to be like this. It should not be like that. It should never be like. It should have never been like that. That's actually what I call a money monopoly. Anybody who really understands economics knows that money is not one thing. Money is just an intermediary good that can really be anything as long as a group of people agree to use it as money. But the thing is, we usually want to use something that has a controlled supply so people can't just create it. But ironically, the things we use as money are just created. You know what I mean? Um, for instance, the dollar and pretty much every other currency in the world is created through fractional reserve banking. It's basically just, I would almost call it like legalized fraud. It's basically the banks can literally just create money on the spot. They call it credit, but it's literally creating money. And that affects the supply. It's literally increasing the supply of money, and that's affecting the value because the value of money is determined by a supply and demand function. So with that being said, let's look at how the supply and demand function works. It's just a regular chart. Actually, a dollar looks something like this. Value. And how do they value a dollar? Because most goods or stocks or anything, they're valued, the price is like, it would be dollars and time, obviously. But you can't do that with the dollar. How are you going to value a dollar? They really have a thing for like, I forget what it's called, but it's like a basket of like certain commodities, and they try to judge what the value of the dollar is relative to that basket of commodities. And over time, they've tracked that same commodity basket. I don't know what it's called. Just put C. And relative to the dollar, the value, or actually relative to the dollar, the value of that basket of commodities has gone up, and the value of the dollar has gone down. So it's a relative thing. So a long time ago, maybe $1 could have bought you that whole basket. Now it's like it's gonna take like $100. You know what I mean? So the value of the dollar has been steadily going down, and that's how it's measured through like that basket of commodities. I forget what it's called. Doesn't really matter. You can look it up. Time. Obviously, I don't know why I erased that arrow. My bad. That's gonna remain the same. So anyway, the reason it's going down is because of the increase in supply. It's been a constant thing. So if you understand how the currency works, it's basically like create more credit than is paid back. So it's like this constant thing. So literally, man, there's a history of money, and it used to actually be gold, which would like stay in the market, and then the dollars were supposedly backed by gold, and then fractional reserve banking said that, well, I mean, it's all part of the same thing. The dollars, the Federal Reserve that prints money, they claim to have backing for the money they're printing, and they did it through fractional reserve banking, and they said they said there's like a 10% reserve requirement or something. So really, every dollar they printed really didn't have gold behind it, but 10% supposedly did. And eventually, in the '70s, Nixon got rid of the gold standard, so all the dollars printed by the Federal Reserve are just fiat. But that's just the physical paper. There's also the credit created on computers and everything. But with that being said, like once we went away from a money that was like a physical thing into fractional reserve banking, it all became like uh, basically it's almost like a Ponzi scheme. I don't really know how to describe it, but basically there had to be more money coming into the economy than was going out at any given point, and it had to continue to come in faster than it would go out, or the money supply would evaporate because the entire money supply was replaced. Yeah, the entire money supply of like good money that wasn't, you know, a loan basically, gold, silver, whatever else we used, coined money, stuff like that. All of that was replaced with fiat, fractional reserve banking, created money, and so it kind of turns to this Ponzi scheme. The entire monetary system turns to this Ponzi scheme, and and the only way we have a money supply is if there's continually more money being printed or produced or created on computers, whatever, than is coming in, and that's the whole gimmick that's been going on for a very long time. And eventually, the banks are actually people that create the money. The Federal Reserve literally prints money, and they used to do it with fractional reserve banking, saying that they had gold backing it, so that's why they could just print the bills that supposedly represented a certain amount of gold, whatever. But then that was taken away with the repeal of the gold standard, and it's literally just been fiat, which is just nothing, it's just paper. And they print that, some banks borrow that, and then use that as reserves to I don't know exactly how it goes, but Federal Reserve is a big bank printing the dollars. Regular banks, commercial banks, whatever, they're creating loans all the time, which is creation of money right there. And they keep doing that. I'm sorry, I was kind of brain farting for a second. No, they keep doing that, and I mean, yeah. So it's like this game. It's like they have to continually produce more money than's coming out of the economy. They have to produce money, has to go into the economy faster than it goes out. But also, it's like generally, you know, if you understand how banks work, they create that money and it's supposed to get paid back to them, and they charge interest to the borrower, and then they're supposed to eventually pay back that loan, which will balance their books, and then they get a little chunk of interest by, you know, what they charge the person, the borrower, the person who borrowed the money. But the only way they could get that interest is if somebody else pulls out a loan, and then they get their hands on it to pay this other loan back. So it's like constantly this interest is accruing, like a net interest in the economy is accruing, and it's impossible to pay back so long as every dollar is a loan. You see what I'm saying? Because every new loan generates more interest, so it's constantly a net total interest accrual, you could say. So yeah, it's like a big Ponzi scheme because you can never pay it back, and it's like constantly, constantly, constantly. The only way to pay that interest is to create a new loan, which has more interest, and so on and so forth. And so it's just never gonna go away. So, with that being said, what they've been doing is a thing called quantitative easing, and that's for a lot of reasons. But that's basically just creation of money to like stimulate markets, and what that does, it's basically people borrow money and then throw it at certain markets. So basically, what they're doing, if they borrow money, if you borrow money for anything, and you're gonna buy something, you're adding to the competition for that thing that you're gonna buy, which is basically just like increasing the demand for that product. But what it's gonna do is kind of bid up the price. So if you, I mean, that's really what inflation is. A lot of people say inflation is the just prices going up, but no, it's really money coming in, increasing the supply, increasing the amount of money available to even throw at certain goods and services, which causes the price of those goods and services to go up. And then the person who gets that money will spend on something else, and there'll be more money thrown at something else, which causes that price to go up, and so on and so forth. So it's like a trickle down inflation, the trickle down price increase by like more money being, thrown at certain goods, incremental, like step by step. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what inflation is. Where's it going with this? I'm just trying to wrap my head around. I'm trying to give like a general overview. This for like people who don't really know. And then this is probably obviously already a long video, so it's gonna be like extra long. So skip through if you want to. I don't even care. So yeah, the whole monetary system is basically like a Ponzi scheme. Money's coming in constantly. It's being thrown at certain things, and the prices are being bid up. And the quantitative easing, that's what I was talking about. They basically do that to stimulate markets. They're saying like, oh, like this sector of the economy is gonna like run out of money or this or that, or I think they try to do it for the freaking stock market too. Like they're always worried about stock market. Stock market doesn't really matter that much. I don't think. I could be wrong if I'm like overseeing something, but overlooking something. So yeah, the quantitative easing is basically like a program where the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates, which affects the interest rates that other banks charge customers. And so if they lower the interest rate, that means people can get a loan with a lower interest rate, which means a lot more people are going to do it because they call it like cheap money, and that'll increase like the net amount of money coming in, and kind of eventually inflate the currency or whatnot. And that's what's been happening. And a lot of people say there's like a whole economic bubble going on in a lot of markets because all this money's just coming in and inflating prices, and a lot of stuff. And like I said, the stock market, they want to keep the prices of stuff going up, but it's like it's already unnatural because it's being sustained by what I would call like an artificial demand. Money coming in, money that's created through fractional reserve banking and being thrown at those markets. That's what's been making the price of things incrementally go up. And I say it is a bubble because I mean that's pretty much what a bubble is in the economy. It's just money being thrown at something and its price getting artificially high. So all that money that's just created on the spot and thrown at these various markets are bidding the prices up of everything. And yeah, I mean it's artificial. It's a bubble basically because if you don't keep creating that money and keep throwing it at it, then those prices can't be sustained because that artificial demand will not be there. And then all these markets that kind of depend on that to keep their engine running, you know what I mean? They got to get a profit just to keep their operating costs going and everything. Like I said, it's like a trickle down thing, and eventually the inflation, the prices of everything that get bid up, it affects everything. And so the operation costs of various things are already like bid up to a certain price. And then when that investor demand dries up, and not investor demand, the artificial demand dries up, like they raise the interest rate, less money's coming in, then all these businesses, they can't get that money at that higher price to keep their operations going, and it causes everything to crash. That's how depressions pretty much happen in the economy. And it's an inflation and deflationary scheme. And so yeah, right now it's like a bubble. They've been propping it up, trying to keep everything going up, and inflation's been occurring. And eventually, I mean, they could keep doing that forever, but if they keep doing it forever, then what they're doing is just, blasting the supply. They're called hyperinflation. They just keep adding to the supply of money, and eventually the dollar's gonna be worthless. So it's like, it's either that, or cut or make the interest rate higher so less loans come in, and then it'll actually cause markets to kind of crash. So right now we're kind of like between this rock and a hard place. It's either the dollar's gonna crash by hyperinflation, keep throwing them at these markets, or it's gonna be markets crashing. And honestly, even if the markets don't crash and it's the dollar that crashes, it's probably gonna be. I mean, you just gotta understand how business works. It's people are trading, and the dollar is just one freaking type of money. That's what I'm saying. Like there should have never been a money monopoly. People should not have been dependent on one type of money because you see what's happening. It's just keeps getting inflated. People should have options of different types of money to use. So if the dollar does crash, does go down in value, they're already up and running with another type of money. It's just so simple. But okay, with that being said, this is where the whole strategy I was talking about comes in. Or just thought process of the whatever. Um, if and when we're already kind of like at that point, it's like there's been hyperinflation, kind of. There's been quantitative easing, increasing the money supply, crazy. That's why prices of everything are high, especially things that people get loans for, like the price of like college, house prices, stuff like that. Those are things that people literally go straight to the bank, get money for, and spend that money on. So it's competition that bids the price of those things like way up, and you can see with that. But then there's also other what's that word? Oh, what's that word? Where the freaking government kind of helps a certain market, not stimulus, but I don't know. There's certain things like there's government grants for certain things, so that's more demand going to it and bids prices up the same way. There's welfare, there's like Medicaid, stuff like that. But then there's just a whole bunch of stuff. It really the way prices of everything go up is from money being available and being traded for it. It's extra competition. It doesn't just have to be extra, but you see what I'm saying. I'm talking about where all this extra money is coming from and bidding up the price of everything, and then it's like a trickle down effect into the economy because then that person has the money they can spend on something else, extra demand, bidding up the price, whatever. Um, Give me 1 second here. I gotta open my window. It's hot. Anyway, so you can see how what's happening, the situation we're kind of in. Now you have to think about what might happen, what you can do, what might happen, all types of stuff like that. Do we have cryptocurrencies coming out, which can handle a certain amount of business? Like they really are like they only have a certain capacity. Really, you can probably crash those servers pretty easy. I'm just saying. I don't think they've been tested. They've been building like an infrastructure with it, like the Bitcoin, because people, the miners, they try to get their little commission for doing the mining process. So it's been profitable. So they've been doing it, and there's a pretty big infrastructure of the I guess you could say the servers. You know what I mean? And it's good. It's something that people can go to and use. Okay. Then there's gold. Everybody's saying a lot of people are probably gonna go back to gold because that's what everybody does. Every time a fiat currency crashes, they all default back to gold because gold's been around forever and it's not gonna go down in value. Did I say gold wouldn't go down in value? That was not probably true because it's anything can go down in value. Honestly, if you look at the stock market, like most stocks eventually just deflate. It's like I said, it's a constant thing. It's like almost like a Ponzi scheme, dude. I've already made a video talking about that, how like the stock market is basically a Ponzi scheme because it's just constant demand increasing, da da da. But I mean, whatever. Don't even get into that. But no, a lot of people are going toward gold, silver, whatever. God damn, dude, I'm trying to make a fucking video. Got somebody in this other room right here, and just trying to be kind of quiet for him. And somebody outside fucking being retarded. Like, what the fuck, dude? Let me make a fucking video. Holy shit. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. People, they need something else to go to. Dollar's crashing. They say, holy shit, my dollar's about to crash. Any smart people are trying to get out of that right now because they already know it's coming. A lot of other people that are just naive, freaking just holding on to like life savings, their 401k, whatever. They're freaking they're probably not gonna see it, and the dollar's gonna crash, and it's gonna be worthless. They spent their whole lives working for dollars, and it's about to be worthless. And okay, so you can see the cost of living. So the value of money is relative to goods. That's how you measure the value of money. The commodity, that's just one way, but also the cost of living. The cost of living really is a reflection of the value of the dollar going down. That's really what it is. So yeah, a lot of people ain't gonna be prepared, but the people right now, that's what I'm making this video for. People that are thinking about this and hopefully come across this video, whatever. Yeah, hopefully see what I'm talking about. But anyway, everybody's that sees the dollars going down, they're like, I need to go somewhere else. I need to get rid of these dollars, put my whole net worth into something else other than dollars. So they're looking for something. My best suggestion, and I'm not even suggesting this, so don't say I told him, this is not financial advice, whatever. Buy things that people actually use, because those are not going to, but those have real value to people. So buy like real estate, buy a business that produces something. If you can buy a business, buy a business that produces something that people actually use. You can buy real estate. You can buy just stuff that you think ain't gonna go down in value, that people generally value. And that's why a lot of people talk about gold, because people have always valued gold for like a long time. It's like tried and true. It's an old freaking thing. So yeah, gold might be an option, but the problem with gold is I think there's already it's basically a cornered market already. So like in stock trading, they call, or even in crypto, that's where I heard it first. In crypto, they said there's whales, and that the whales are people that own a big percentage of the total supply of that asset, and at any time they can just dump their whole supply onto the market, which will increase the supply available, which will decrease the value. It's just a supply and demand function. And so the gold market's already cornered. So if people start using gold as money, if they all go rush back to gold, demand increases for it, the value goes way up. These whales in that market can take their giant supplies and just dump it at any time, which is not good. You know what I'm saying? Especially if people start using it as money again. Usually, if you have to understand, like, if gold is used as money, it doesn't even have to be used as money. I'm just saying, like, if it was, let's just use cryptocurrency as an example. If it's being used as money, then that means it's gonna be not only traded for other money, dollars from like investors and stuff. It's also gonna have a demand in the form of people trading goods and services for it. So it's gonna have a lot of liquidity in the economy. And generally speaking, a whale coming and dumping their supply, it might not make too much of a dent. It might not affect the overall value that much if there's enough liquidity, whatever, trade volume, whatever you want to call it. But the reason if the market's already cornered, I imagine the people that have already cornered the market are like financial geniuses, and they're probably the same people that are the same people that probably are going to crash the dollar right now. So like really, if people revert back to that, it's going to, cause the price of gold to go way up, and then the people that are the whales that, somehow corner that market, they're gonna like benefit dramatically. And it's like, do you really want to like reward those people? But at the same time, do you have a choice? That's like a moral question, I guess. But for the sake of your money, people probably gonna do what they do. If the price of gold's going up, everybody's probably gonna jump on it. Or if the price of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or Litecoin or what's the other one, Ethereum or other ones, there's Monero. There's a lot of different ones. If people go over there and the price starts going up, that might be where you want to go. It's just like stock trading. People basically follow the crowd. Whatever's like looks like it's going up, people jump in that market. And it's something I call like the investor cycle. The demand that jumps over there causes it to go up. So it's just like wherever the crowd goes, the value of whatever that is going up. So that's really what you want to do. You want to be constantly on something going up. You want to be holding on to appreciating assets. So it doesn't just have to be a cryptocurrency. It doesn't just have to be gold. It doesn't have to be silver. It can be stocks. It can be real estate. But like I said, the value of money is measured by how much of a good it can buy, but also the value of those goods and services are usually measured by how much money it's going to take in trade to acquire them. So you might think the value of something's going up, but it's really just the value of what it's being measured by going down. So it's like a changing unit. Like just imagine if like I said this board's like 2 feet tall, and then the foot is changing. It's like, whoa, now it's like 3 feet tall. Now it's 4 feet tall. It's like, what? Like that's stupid. And that's the thing. Like the value of the dollar is used as a unit of measure quite often, but it's constantly changing. Its value is changing, so it's just not really a good measure. The real measure of value in the economy is that um, commodity basket or whatever, and you can translate that. So if you translate the commodity basket's worth relative to a currency, and that currency or another good relative to that currency too, then you can see how much a certain good is worth relative to that just by using the money, the unit of measure, as a translation factor. So don't be fooled by prices going up, because it could just be the value of whatever is priced by the unit of measure, its value going down. So don't be fooled by that. So yeah, hopefully you can generally navigate this just with that information. You see what's happening. People are probably, there's gonna be people that it's called getting left holding the bag in the stock market. Like, sometimes, smart people, if they know the value of something's gonna go down, they get out of it real quick. Actually, smart people wouldn't even be holding on to dollars at all. I'm holding on to dollars. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just you usually want to be holding on to goods and you want to be holding on to assets that are appreciating in value. It's just the smart thing to do. You're holding on to a depreciating asset, it's gonna be worth less over time. So it's just stupid. It's like you're working, trying to save money, putting into a savings account while it's losing value. So you're like walking on a treadmill, dude. You're not going anywhere. It's not increasing your net worth, because your net worth is shrinking the more you add. So it's basically just staying right at the same spot. It's just stupid. But yeah, smart people do not hold on to depreciating assets. They hold on to appreciating assets. But that's the thing. What usually drives, you have to understand supply and demand and what drives the value of goods. But in investor markets, it's usually investor demand. So if people jump ship from the dollar and try to go somewhere else, if they jump to gold, it's going to be the investor demand that bids up the price of gold. And then if that might go up for a while, might go up indefinitely, I have no idea. But then maybe at some point they want to jump ship from that and go somewhere else. You have to be able to see what's happening with that action, and I guess like follow the crowd kind of. And that's that. Like I said, there's always consumer goods which have like primary value to people. So those are always gonna be valued, like, so those I don't think you can really go wrong with if it's not a physically depreciating thing. Like, you can't hold on to food forever because it'll spoil, stuff like that. But people have liked gold for a long time, so I think people are probably gonna default back to that to some degree. Probably also the crypto. You just have to think, like, when the dollar's going down and they realize it, where they're gonna jump ship to. They're gonna jump ship to somewhere. And I'm telling you this information now. This is the same type of information other people that understand this type of stuff are thinking. People probably be sharing this type of information. So where are people gonna go? And with all this information in mind, where are you gonna go? You see what I'm saying? If you're thinking of a place, then maybe other people are thinking of the same place because they're thinking the same way. And that's why I say you gotta kind of follow the crowd with this whole thing. That's kind of how investing goes too. If you understand stocks, like a lot of people think it's driven by like news reports of the company. It's really driven by wherever the crowd goes, because they're the ones who are buying, causing prices to go up, or selling and causing prices to go down. It has everything to do with the supply and demand. And you just gotta think of it's speculation. Speculation is like predicting what's gonna happen. So that's pretty much what you gotta do. You gotta predict what's gonna happen and put your eggs in the right basket and hopefully float upriver. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you're not holding on to a dollar when it crashes, because that's just gonna be sucky. It's gonna be sucky for somebody. Somebody's gonna be stupid and holding the bag. It's the same thing with like happened with Bitcoin. Um, the price, like smart people, they got into Bitcoin when it was a really low price, and then everybody hyped it up and said, "Oh, it's gonna go up. It's going up. It's going to the moon." Da da da. Went all the way to 20K, and some people who are really smart, they said that's probably about as high as it's gonna go, and they sold it. But who did they sell it to? They sold it to somebody who probably thought it was gonna go higher, but guess what? As soon as they bought it, it went down in value, and the person that bought it is the person that was left holding the bag, and they could have sold at any point to anybody along the way, but whoever they handed off to is then holding the bag too as it goes down, and so on and so forth. So pretty much with almost every asset that people invest in, like any investment vehicle, even currencies, it does the same thing. It's always the same thing. The value of it goes up, supply and demand function, and eventually, usually, most of them have been inflated to oblivion, to where the value is just going down, and it looks like a bad investment, and people are like, dude, this is worthless. So, not only, like, people actually have been using the dollar for a long time. That's what I'm saying. That's kind of like by like almost like government mandate. That's what I'm saying. It's like a money monopoly. People should have been having options, and they should have understood this for a long time, and not probably been using the dollar. It's been depreciating in value, but they have been. It's been like by government mandate, kind of. People pay taxes. It's just one way or another. It's in the psyche of people, and that's just the dollar in the United States. I mean, other countries have their currencies and stuff, and it could be literally government mandate, like laws are passed and so you can't use anything else. But the point I'm trying to make is it's clearly going down in value. That is a supply and demand function. Pretty much every other currency that ever existed that was a fiat currency got inflated to oblivion, and value eventually it starts going down. I mean, you gotta think like an investor. If you're smart enough, you see the value going down, you're saying this is a depreciating asset. I don't want to hold on to it. I'm gonna jump ship. And a lot of people don't see it until it's like really obvious. And once it's really obvious, everybody jumps ship. The demand for it goes way down. When the demand goes way down, it causes the price to drop even faster, makes it even more obvious. So like everybody is gonna see it eventually, and eventually they're all just gonna jump ship, and it's just literally gonna be worth its paper. And you can see that with stocks. You can see it with cryptocurrencies. It's already happened. They call it pumping and dumping in the stock market. It's the same thing with money. It's the exact same thing. But usually people use money for a while because it's like a government mandated thing. But it's the same thing, and it's just a function of supply and demand. That's all it is. Supply and demand. Alright, so hopefully you understand that. I've described that. I talk about what I call the investor cycle, which is basically a pump and dump scheme caused by the supply and demand function of investors, coming in, causing price to go up, and then selling and causing price to go down. It's like an increase in demand, decrease in supply because everybody's holding on to it while it goes up. And then it's an increase in supply when everybody starts selling, decrease in demand because it starts going down. It's not going up as fast. It just kind of starts slowing down. So everybody sells, increase in demand, decrease in supply, and it just causes a dump. It's like a roller coaster. So I call it the investor cycle. And I haven't heard anybody else say that for a long time. I think I kind of like invented that a little bit, but that's cool. I learned that studying crypto. So yeah, hopefully you have to, this whole thing I'm talking about is like where you want to like people are going to jump ship from one thing to another, and you want to always be holding on to assets that are like going up in value. This is what I call in general like the money game, because it's kind of, I don't know, I've seen video games like that. I remember there's one where there's like there's one with like a waterfall, there's logs, and you have to like jump log to log, and some are going down fast, some are going down slower, and you're trying to climb. It's similar, but you can see what I'm saying. You just want to be if you want to increase your net worth fast, you want to be on all the things that are going up fast. Like as soon as it slows down, you want to jump ship, go to something else that's going up. You know, it's the money game. You're trying to climb. You know what I mean? As if you're really trying to like do it, but if you're just trying to hold on to your life savings or something, you know, at least just don't be on something that's depreciating value. You know, because people have been using it, but as soon as they start jumping ship, it's you can see it. It's the exact same thing that has happened. There's so many stocks with the Bitcoin. You can see exactly what happened with Bitcoin. It went to 20K, started slowing down. Everyone said, "I don't think it's gonna go any higher." Time to sell. They sold. As soon as they sold, it was an increase in the supply and a decrease in demand because nobody is buying that, you know, asset that's not really spiking anymore. So it just literally caused the price to drop, and that caused even more people to sell. And it is just the investor cycle. It just literally causes like a major drop off, like instantly. You can look at the freaking Bitcoin chart. You can look at almost any other stock chart that has gone through the actual downside. Some of them are just perpetually going up, but like I said, that's a bubble. Basically, that's perpetual demand created by more money being created, thrown at it. Eventually, almost everything goes down. Eventually, it's all like a big Ponzi scheme. Same thing with crypto, same thing with stocks, same thing with almost every single fiat currency that's ever existed. You see what I'm saying? And the same thing can happen with gold. It's just a matter of supply and demand. How much of a demand there is for it, and you know that's so often that is determined by hype. So often that's determined by hype. The Bitcoin, I keep calling it the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin. Anyway, the Bitcoin, it has so much hype. That's why I went to 20K. There was no intrinsic value that made the price go that high. It was just hype. They kept saying it's going up, it's going up, and it was going up. So everybody's like, let me get in. So they kept throwing money at the supply was being held onto, it was being bought and held onto. So it's a limited supply, and then more and more people coming at it, and it just caused the price to skyrocket. And smart people sold before it hit that peak, and demand slowed down. You can kind of tell when it's slowing down, and that's probably where you want to exit. But who do you exit to? You sell it to somebody, and those are idiots. They get left holding the bag. They'll probably buy it. They'll probably go down something to try to sell it. They sell it to somebody else who, for some whatever reason, is gonna buy it. I have no idea. Probably another person who's not. It happens, you know. Sometimes you think it's gonna go up, but it's going down. You don't know, but you know, that's a kind of a judgment call that everybody makes when investing. But generally speaking, you can see the supply and demand function that affects the prices of everything. And you know, that's really what's important to play this money game. You know what I mean? Pretty much every rich person knows how to invest their money. Like every rich person has a portfolio. Okay, this is me trying to like describe it in a way to where like the average Joe can get it, like understand this whole money game, because every rich person has a portfolio, and usually rich people have a source of income to where they just have all this money that they accrue in whatever currency is, and they know the value of the currencies are going down. So like, hey, let me take this money, put it in something that's going up. They're all playing the money game. That's every single rich person knows how to invest. Every single rich person knows how to play the money game. Every single one. Every single one. Not, I mean, unless they just have like some crazy source of income and they don't even care. They're just holding on to billions and billions of dollars, like whatever. Okay, but they're stupid because the value that they could be using all that money. Pretty much every intelligent rich person is investing money and stuff. And I mean, there's a lot of good stuff to invest in, depending on how much money you have. You know, there's kind of barriers to entry for certain things. Like some people with a lot of money, they'll like be angel investors. They'll invest in businesses when they start up, stuff like that. A lot of these brokerages for like stocks and cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency was cool because you could buy like a fraction of a cryptocurrency, and that was also a thing that caused the price to go up because so many people could come in because there was low barrier to entry because you could buy a fraction. You could literally invest like 10 cents, you know, if you want to. So that barrier to entry is going to affect how many people can get in, affect the demand, and there's a lot of the barriers to entry with like stock trading and stuff like that have been lowered by like apps like Robinhood, and a lot of people have copied Robinhood, and they have zero commissions. They do a thing called fractional shares, so you can buy like a half of a share of a stock if you want to, stuff like that. So yeah, barriers to entry will affect really what you can invest in, but you know, stock market and stuff is pretty available now, pretty open for most people. But pretty much every intelligent rich person is investing their money in something that is going up in value. I mean, it's just the thing to do. Like, they understand it, like, intuitively how this stuff works. And that's the thing, like, once you start studying, and I hopefully just covered it, hopefully just, like, gave you a roundabout general overview. But yeah, like, every rich person, they generally get this, I'm sure. They generally understand, like, my money, not, I mean, even if they don't think about the money going down in value, they say I have this money sitting here and I can loan it out and make a return. You know, it's just investing, dude. Like, it's like pretty much mandatory in my eyes. So it is what it is. It's mandatory if you're trying to, like, you know, not be broke. I don't know what to say. Yeah, so I mean, you definitely don't want to be the person left holding the bag, especially. I'm telling you, shit drops quick, dude. It drops super quick, just like Bitcoin. Bitcoin hit 20K and everybody started slowing down. As soon as it started slowing down, everybody's like, let me sell. And a lot of people tried to sell there, and guess what? Nobody wanted to buy it because they saw it was going down too. And they said, and it just went. It, there's a low demand for shit that's going down, so a lot of people aren't even able to get rid of their shit because they can't sell to anybody because nobody wants it, and they're left holding the bag. Even so, you gotta sell before it goes down, because if you realize when everybody else realizes, everybody else sees the same thing. They all see, oh look, this asset sucks, it's going down. Nobody wants to buy it. So who are you gonna sell to? You can't get out of your position, as stock traders say, and you're gonna have a bad time because you're gonna be holding on to an asset that's rapidly decreasing in value because nobody wants it. And I mean, it can literally go to zero. Money can literally be worth nothing. The paper can just be paper at some point. You can work your entire life saving these dollars that are worth something at that point in time, but all of a sudden the whole value can just evaporate. You can literally be holding on to paper. It's already happened in various countries. It's already happened. Look at Zimbabwe. They had wheelbarrows of freaking money trying to buy like a loaf of bread. I heard in Venezuela they had Venezuela. I'm trying to get my accent going. They had the Bolivar, hyperinflated, worthless. It's bad monetary policy. It's an asset that is just being inflated to oblivion. It's like, just imagine holding on to a stock and the company just continuously, you know, creates more shares. It's like, dude, it's going to lower the value of shares you have because, you know, it's supply and demand. If there's a low supply, then people are competing for it, causing the value of it to go up. You know, they're bidding the price up. If they just keep creating a supply, it's gonna be worthless. And it's the same thing with money. The money, like I said, is valued by how much stuff. So it's really the price of money is like how much goods and services, you know, people are willing to trade for it. You know, that's how you can tell the value of money. So if there's a little bit of it that people are trying to get their hands on, a low supply, a lot of demand, people trying to get their hands on to do business, it's going to have a high value. If they keep inflating it, then increase the supply, more and more people, there's going to be more. So it's like, it'll just have a lower value. I could hopefully just get that. I don't have to explain that any further. You can just see that. You should hopefully be able to like intuitively see this stuff. That's what I'm hoping you see. Like I said, a lot of these rich folks, like the smart rich people, they probably intuitively understand this. They're like, here's how to invest. Here's where, you know, like, like, you don't hold on to depreciating assets, stuff like that. So anyway, with all this being said, man, this should be kind of a segue to explaining why we should not have money monopolies, why we should have, you know, kind of open markets of money. You know, we should have different currencies everywhere that people have the option of using for business. You know what I mean? Like, because if one goes to shit, you have this other one, an infrastructure working that business can continue with. I mean, if everybody's dependent on one type of money and that money fucks up, it's gonna stop all business. It's like it's almost like a circulatory system. We could have like multiple circulatory systems. If this one shuts off, just hit up the next one. Everything keeps going. It's that simple. And if you know how to play the money game, if you know how to like, if you see everybody jumping ship, you move to one that everybody's gonna jump to or whatever, then you can benefit from that. And I'm telling you, these super rich people, probably the people who are gonna be the one, probably the ones who are responsible for the dollar that's about to go down. They probably know how to do this. They're the ones who corner the market on gold. They say we already got the whole supply. We're here before everybody jumps ship and comes over here. So they're getting in low. When everybody jumps ship, goes over there, the value's gonna go up. And guess what? They're already holding on to a huge supply. They're gonna probably dump that, and they don't even have to dump it. If the price of it just goes way up, and they already cornered the market, they could just like trickle it in, and dude, they're gonna make a killing, bro. It's just like stock trading. It's just like you want to get in at a low price. As the value goes up, at some point you're gonna sell, and you make a killing. You make a profit. Gains. You make gains. It's like, yeah. So the people that are like super mega rich, I'm sure they probably understand this and then some. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on here. I understand a lot more. It's actually just probably not relevant to this particular conversation. So I made some like videos. But like if you look at how money comes in, it's created and it's handed to people, and then people buy things, and then they own things. You can buy businesses. If you have access to enough money, you can buy like entire companies. You can buy a lot of stuff. And it's been a crazy thing, man. These people will do that, borrow a lot of money. The money's created, people borrow it, buy stuff, they end up owning that stuff, and as that new money that they just borrow goes into the economy, it usually creates that inflation, causes the price of everything to go up. It eventually causes the value of the money to go down, and like, so what they're doing, they're like borrowing, buying real goods and services, and then eventually they keep inflating fast enough. So, gosh, there's so much to explain. If you got a loan for $100 and you could buy a pair of shoes with that today, if you hold on to that loan long enough and the money inflates fast enough, if the value of the dollar goes down fast enough, you can get that $100 back for trading a piece of bubble gum, because the value of the dollar will be so low that all it takes to get that $100 back would be a piece of bubble gum. You see what I'm saying? So as the value of the money decreases, the outstanding loans are actually easier to pay back. So really what's happening, a bunch of money coming in, people buying stuff, and then eventually more inflation's happening. Eventually, by the time they want to pay back, the thing that they bought is worth way more relative to that money, and for them to pay back that loan is actually, it's going to take way less than what they actually bought with it. I mean, so it's like a big scheme overall. You can see that, and that's probably a bigger aspect of this whole thing that oh my god, I don't want to get into it. That's just one, I guess, little part that I mentioned that's relevant. Overall, for your own safety though, for your own financial well-being, whatever, you want to be holding on to appreciating assets. You do not want to be left holding the bag with these stupid fiat currencies, because I'm telling you, they go down quick. As soon as everybody else realizes it's about to go down in value, there's going to be nobody to buy it, because everybody already knows it's going down in value. So they're just like, no, I don't want that. Get away from me. They're trying to get rid of theirs too. And everybody just dumps it. Massive increase of supply and like literally no demand. Like nobody will buy it. So the price literally just goes to zero. It just drops off the face of the planet. I'm telling you, you do not want to be left holding the bag with this shit. That's the main important thing. Don't be left holding the bag. And you're gonna hopefully jump shit before that happens. I'm telling you, somebody's gonna be left holding the bag. That's what's so sad about this whole thing. And the whole thing is a scheme, bro. Like overall, it's like these super rich people know what they're doing. The people who control the monetary system, they understand this. I guarantee you they understand this shit. And they're just shamelessly, inflating these currencies, like I said, buying stuff and inflating them like crazy, and owning stuff that's actually valuable, and then eventually paying back these loans. If the value of the dollar goes to zero, you could pay back $100 billion loan for practically nothing. If you got a loan from the bank in Zimbabwe when it cost one whatever Zimbabwe dollar to buy a loaf of bread, and you waited until the fucking money inflated to when it cost an entire wheelbarrow of those dollars to buy a loaf of bread, you wouldn't even think about paying that loan back. You could pay back that loan 1 billion times. If you borrowed a wheelbarrow money when a loaf of bread was worth one of the Zimbabwe dollars, you could have bought, let's say it was 1,000,000 freaking loaves of bread. If it was $1,000,000, you could have bought 1,000,000 loaves of bread. You waited until the freaking value of that dollar went down to like nothing. You could pay back that entire loan, that entire wheelbarrow of money, by trading one of those loaves back. You see what I'm saying? So that inflation is like a shameless. It's how these super mega rich people like siphon off real wealth in the economy. It's such a terrible scheme. Not only are they buying stuff, they're buying your labor. They're buying your labor. Some people are trading their freaking lives, laboring away for these dollars that eventually gonna be worthless. It's such a scheme, dude. It's such a scheme. That's a scheme, bro. I'm being so serious. Like, I want people to understand this. That's why I've taken so much time to explain this type of stuff. And I mean, if we have these money monopolies, they're gonna do the same thing. But there's also so much more to it. It's not just a money monopoly. It's also, like I said, with gold. I think that market's already cornered. So even people go back to gold. These whales exist in that market, and they're gonna benefit the same way. The super mega rich people, they have a lot. They understand this game very well, and they're usually going to this or that before everybody else for the most part, and they're gonna be making these major gains, dude. And quite often, when they decide to sell a certain asset, if they dump their supply, it's gonna be like the straw that broke the camel's back. It's gonna cause that slowdown, which causes everybody else to like try to sell too. So they can literally affect the markets. They can cause like a massive sell-off and stuff like that. So I mean, they'll be the first to do it. They're gonna sell, go to something else, and by the time they're at something else, everybody else is just gonna follow right behind them. It's just kind of how this thing goes, dude. It's crazy how this money game actually works, bro. It's just it's economics. But I think like the main safeguard is to have multiple types of money, and just for everybody to understand it. And I mean, I think over time it'll just evolve and change, but the more people understand this stuff, the better type of like monetary policy we can create, the better types of currencies we can create. You know what I mean? Like, we have these cryptocurrencies that were like organically made by various people, and those are all viable for use as money. So it's like, that's cool. And I see kind of this market of different monies coming up, and I think that it's a major safeguard, because those are pretty much like dispersed pretty evenly. But there are those whales that they call them in the market. So who knows who those people are? It could be super mega rich people saying, hey, let's get in there early. Because they have such a huge net worth. They can take just a piece of their net worth and buy like an entire supply of whatever low price asset. And they already control that whole market just with like a piece of their entire net worth. It's a totally controlled system, dude. I don't know. People got to think. People got to brainstorm to try to create solutions for this in general, overall, for the entire system. But generally speaking, this is for general education, and I guess to help people think of what to do with the dollars they have right now, and kind of, I guess, try to prepare. I mean, you don't want to be left holding back. That's the thing. I know somebody's gonna be left holding back. It's just how it is. Somebody. It could be right now. It could be you right now. Who, if you do not get rid of those dollars right now, or before it goes down to nothing, you might not be able to get rid of them. You might just be right now holding on to dollars that you can't get rid of. I mean, I'm not trying to cause like a massive sell-off right now. I'm not, because I still have dollars right now. So it is what it is. I'm not trying to like trigger that, but when everybody else realizes it's gonna be worthless pretty soon, and it's really when they decide to get rid of it, there's gonna be no demand for it. So there's gonna be nobody to get rid of it to. So all those people that are the last to try to get rid of it are gonna be left holding the bag because there's gonna be nobody to get rid of it to. If somebody is stupid enough to trade it for something, then that's on them, I guess. Whatever. And then they'll eventually realize, hey, what did I trade anything for this worthless paper for? You know what I mean? That's the nature of, like, I guess I call it the money game. It's just like investing in general. It's freaking you just have to understand the supply and demand function. And like I said, there's the investor cycle. It's people, they go. I'm telling you, the investor cycle is important because it's they follow the herd basically. So wherever something is going up, everybody's gonna go to it. They're gonna buy up the supply, compete for the supply, causing the price to go up, and then they're gonna hold on to the supply. So it's gonna be a decreasing supply, increasing demand, which is gonna cause the price to go up. Eventually, pretty much everybody that's gonna go over there goes over there, and then the demand slows down, and then investors say, okay, it's time to sell. As soon as they start selling, I mean, it's just like this tipping point. Demand's already low because everybody that was gonna buy already did buy, and then all these investors say, okay, I guess it's time to sell because it's slowing down. So it's literally just a tipping point. It just goes like right off the edge, and it's just a dump. It's a dump to supply. Nobody's there to buy it because it goes down. Nobody wants to buy a depreciating asset. I mean, there is in investing. There's like short selling and stuff. It's a totally different thing. But generally speaking, yeah, it just goes off the edge, and it drops. Usually, the only reason it comes back up is because people have all these like stock trading strategies and stuff. And they say it's gonna bounce. So usually they like anticipate that, and they anticipate it, and then they actually manifest it by actually buying at a certain point. And sometimes it's a bounce. There's a thing people call a dead cat bounce. It'll go down, bounce a little bit, but then just keep going down. It's all just investor demand. It's all a supply and demand function. And the better you understand that, the better prepared you are. The better, I guess you could say, like, trained you are to play this money game, the investor game, whatever you want to call it. And it's crucial for this dollar thing because it's already so inflated. People are already seeing it's going down in value. I'm talking about it. More and more people are hearing this. And there's other things that are going to affect it. Right now it's used as a reserve currency around the world. And a lot of people, there's a big demand for it that I guess generally keeps the supply at a certain value. As soon as a lot of countries drop it, that's gonna be a decrease in demand for it, and it's gonna cause the value to go down. As soon as that like abrupt drop happens, a lot of people are probably gonna realize, okay, that's the value of my net worth, or the value of these dollars, this asset that I'm holding just went down dramatically. Let me get rid of it. As soon as that abrupt thing happens, people want to get rid of it. It's going to be something that clicks in the minds of everybody. They're going to say, I don't want this anymore. There's going to be no demand for it. It's literally it's going to be like a very quick thing. I don't know that, but it seems like it might be. And that's the thing. I'm not trying to cause like this is not financial advice. This is just like my anticipation, whatever you want to call it. Don't tell anybody I told you to sell anything, nothing like that. This is my opinion, I guess. This is my whatever. Don't tell anybody I told you to do anything. Yeah, so that being said, I mean, this is all just okay. This is not financial advice for disclaimer purposes. But generally speaking, yeah, you should probably look out for something like that. That's what I can tell you. That was long. I mean, I could probably keep adding stuff to be honest, but I think that's all you really need for the most part to understand generally what you need to be doing. I wish I didn't have to be so quiet. I got somebody in this other room right here trying to sleep right now. Somebody's doing some crazy stuff out there, but I did what I can. I'm trying to do God's work right here. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to save lives. I'm trying to help people because like there's people who have literally worked their entire lives and have like a retirement account in dollars, and if that shit just goes through the floor all of a sudden, they just worked their entire life for nothing. They have no retirement savings. That's a crime, bro. That is a crime. And the more people understand this, I mean, honestly, if enough people understand it, we can hopefully hold the people who caused this accountable. You know what I'm saying? Because it's understood. It's understood. And I'm sure the super rich, super mega rich people that are doing all this stuff, I'm sure they understand it. And I think we can actually prove that in a court of law. I mean, that's ideal. Everybody understanding this, or at least enough people to understand. Like, I guess a lot more people understanding this and holding the people causing all of this craziness accountable. And that is ideal. But with that being said, I guess that's a general preparation for what I personally anticipate might happen with the dollar. So take it as you wish. Like I said, it's not financial advice. Do not try to sue me, because I did not tell you to buy or sell anything. This is just my general understanding. I did not tell anybody to buy or sell anything. I'm not even telling you this is how it actually works. This could be totally wrong. This is my opinion on the matter. This is my personal understanding. So don't tell anybody I told you anything that convinced you to act one way or another, because I did not. I don't care what you do. It has nothing to do with me. That's your personal life. So if you're left holding the bag, don't tell them I don't know, just whatever. Don't sue me. Anyway, that being said, that's pretty much all I gotta say about that. So hope you learned something. That's a general overview, dude. And I could probably go so much deeper in so many details. I already made so many videos about this. I don't hear anybody else talking about this stuff. And I think a lot of people intuitively understand it, like super mega rich people, for one. And they probably understand even more stuff than I even understand. I don't know, maybe. But I generally think I see most of it. But I think a lot of like rich people, they intuitively understand this, understand how to play a money game, understand how to invest. I think a lot of people might not understand exactly how to explain it. I think the real thing I'm doing here is like taking the time to like explain it. But that's the thing. This is already like an hour long, more than an hour long video. Most people won't take the time to listen, and guess what? They're gonna be left holding the bag. And that's. I mean, I'm like, what was that thing they say? You can bring the horse water, you can't force him to drink. Like, I didn't have to make this video. I didn't have to make none of these videos. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people charge for this type of information. They're like, hey, buy my newsletter, buy my course on trading, da da da. I just feel bad for these like old grandpas who work their whole lives away and are holding onto a 401k that is going to be worthless, in my opinion. I feel bad. I just want to like warn people, and honestly, what I want to do is generally educate people, so hopefully we can make better, decisions as to see. I'll tell you my whole thing. My whole thing is I want to optimize the economic machine to have the best output to help everybody. You know what I'm saying? So if the more people understand or educated about how this whole thing works, the more hopefully people understand the type of proposals I put forth. Not just that. The better people understand this in general, the better they can come up with good proposals as to how to affect and manage the economy. Optimally, I've already said this in other videos, but you want people to be taken care of. You want hopefully their labor and everything to be put toward their own well-being. You don't want people slaving away for somebody else. And generally, we want the entire economy, entire human race to be productive and to do awesome stuff. So make sure everybody's taken care of. Make sure this economic machine is operating for the well-being, but we also gotta make sure that the planet's taken care of. Okay, there's that. I want to create a sustainable economic system. I basically want to optimize this economic machine here on planet Earth, and I realize it's gonna require people to learn more of how it works, to get them to understand certain proposals, because we kind of live in this democratic society and whatnot. So the better people understand it, the better. I guess just if they understand it, I don't even have to make any proposals. They'll hopefully understand it better, make good proposals to optimize it themselves. You see what I'm saying? So I'm kind of just like opening the door for that through a general understanding of how the whole system works. And it's a general overview. It's not like every detail, you know what I mean? There's way more stuff. I mean, it's a very, very dynamic system, the economy. But generally, just help people understand more and more. So hopefully, we can have better, better laws passed, better stuff that makes the economy work way better and more efficiently. Because I see the economy as like the great, like, engine of mankind. It's like there's like this great cooperative effort of mankind. It is awesome, and we produce so much. Like, I got this technology because of it, all types of stuff. But that's really, there's individuals in that, so you want to take care of the individuals, like optimize the individuals, make sure they can output as much as possible. And who knows what people invent, and it just helped the entire body of mankind along. That's my ultimate, like, ambition with this economic education. I see that being like fundamental to helping all of mankind succeed, basically. So I know it sounds grand, but I understand, like, that's how it really works, dude. Because people have to understand before they don't have to, honestly. Lawmakers could just, as long as, like, the right people understand and they actually do the right things to optimize the economy and make it all work way better. That's just the thing. It's just, I see it. I already talked about this. I don't even feel like going on. But that's my ultimate goal with this, I think, is general education. Hopefully educating the right people that are in positions to do the work of affecting the economy. Maybe it's going to be some kid that watches this stuff. He's like, ooh, and then next thing you know, he runs for president, and he's like, okay, let me apply all this knowledge or something. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? So that's my general hope for all this. I've already talked about other things, so I don't want to get too far into it. But generally, I want the body of mankind to be prosperous. I see it as a giant organism. I want to be super healthy. I want a sustainable system on planet Earth with, where we don't destroy the planet, and, I want everybody be taken care of, everybody have a good time while they're alive. And ultimately, I want mankind to prosper and flourish. And creating a sustainable economic system is, like, totally important. Very important. Very, very important. It's optimizing this machine, you could call it, or taking care of the giant, meta-organism we call the economy. The meta-organism of mankind. That's one of my favorite ways to describe it. Anyway, that's the goal, man. It really is. That's the goal, and I hope it works out. I'm gonna let y'all go. It's not in my hands. I don't control monetary policy. I don't control laws that are passed. If I could, I'll say, do this, do that, and hopefully make it better. And that's why I'm sharing this, because hopefully it gets to the right people. And maybe if other people don't listen, maybe I will run for president or something. I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know. It depends. People, I don't know. A lot of people don't know who the heck I am. They just think I'm some random guy. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm up for that challenge. Really, I just want to generally spread knowledge, information, education to help people hopefully understand, so they can, because it's going to require governance, indefinitely into the future, generation after generation. So I'm just trying to help with the general understanding of how the economic machine works, so it can be maintained and optimized as new technology comes, all types of stuff. It's a system that has to be. It's an evolving system. It's very dynamic, and it's gonna have to come. It has to be understood to be able to be managed properly. So that's really what I'm trying to impart, is a general understanding, so it can be managed properly. I know. Okay, so that's not even on the same point as this whole video, but I just thought I'd add that at the end. All right, that was good. I'm gonna wait till it gets like 1:15, just because I think that's a roundabout number to end this at. So I thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you watch all my other stuff. Like, subscribe, and share, whatever. General education, man, that's what it's all about. So hopefully this is helpful. I'm trying to help mankind. I'm trying to make myself useful. Put it that way. So there you go. I see this being very useful. Trying to help optimize the entire situation. And I hope this does that. Maybe not in a direct way, but hopefully it disseminates some type of knowledge to where it eventually has that effect. So yeah, there you go. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's been wonderful. I'll let y'all go. Long live the meta-organism of mankind. Hope it flourishes and prospers. You know what I'm saying? So there you go.